Hello. I'm all in y'all face. Hey. It's been so long since we have seen each other. And I promise it wasn't on purpose, as I expressed in my last video. First and foremost, if you're new here, please go check out my last video and the videos before that. But if you've been here and you've been on the ride with me, you know. Anywho. Hey, oh my gosh. It's been so, I feel so like I'm still new at this. I technically am. But yeah, so last video I told y'all about kind of where I was at and where I was moving towards, or like learning, as far as like being like water and like not letting things get in my way and continuing to move forward, which we're still doing that. But before we move forward, I wanted to take the time to go down a rabbit hole, the blue brick road, if you will, to show y'all where I've been at creatively. I do a lot of photo shoots, and obviously if you've been here, oh my God, sorry y'all, I had an incoming phone call. But so yes, I do a lot of photo shoots. In addition to my superstar journey, I am a natural creative, and so I like to express and showcase what it is that's going up here through art. And then of course just other things as well, sometimes just for fun, sometimes for deeper meaning. And I realized I had never really showcased that on YouTube, that is. Mainly on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, then you've seen it. I'm trying to get better sometimes with posting it on Twitter, but it's hit or miss. Excuse me. But I also, like I said, I never really posted it to YouTube, and I thought to myself the other day, I was like, I can't really tell them where I'm going if they don't know where I've been. So, sorry, I'm hearing things. Yeah, that's why I wanted to title this video The Archives, because I'm digging back into my past and showing y'all my very, very first photo shoot to my most recent photo shoot before we get into what's coming, because that's a whole different video. But yeah, you know, I hope y'all guys enjoy this. Again, this is me being vulnerable and showcasing my art, which is my babies, to the world. And yeah, I hope you guys learned something, and let's go ahead and get started. So let's start when I was 19 with Shanghai Nights. So this was my first ever photo shoot. I had just turned 19, and I wanted to showcase my take on photography and fashion through my own creative lens. I just graduated high school that May before, and I wanted to continue on with my creative talents and making a lane for myself. I just didn't necessarily know how to do it, but this is when I really was just in my just do it era. I had bought this robe off Amazon and picked a theme based off the aesthetic of it and shot it off my iPhone XR. And from this, I kind of gained somewhat of an idea of where I wanted to go, but it wasn't fully fleshed out yet. But it did show me some things that I already knew. 1, I had potential. 2, my creativity needed to be expanded upon and shared with the world. So from this, I went and bought a journal. Well, actually, excuse me, I went and picked up a journal that I used for photography when I was in high school, and this is what I now call my big book of Apollo, and I would write down all my creative photo shoots, ideas, whatever you can think of, it's in that book. So I got to thinking, and I was like, I really want to do something big, and this time I want to shoot with like a professional photographer, right? So moving on to my next photo shoot, this is where I drew up Project Ballroom. So Project Ballroom was my second photo shoot, but this time I hired a photographer because this was, in my head, the true debut of Apollo Wintour. So I was still 19, but by this time I had a better idea of my persona, and I wanted to expand my vision with other Black creatives in the Atlanta region. This is also when I started learning more about New York ballroom culture, the lingo, fashion, music, and art form of voguing. I was also watching documentaries and shows like Paris is Burning and FX's Pose. These inspired me in many ways, personally and creatively, from the bold and unapologetic statements of the Black, queer, and trans people to just the depiction of what life was like for them in that time. As someone of the community, it just felt so familiar, and I felt a big piece of me resonated with this, even though I didn't grow up in or around it, but it still called out to me, and I wanted to portray my version or take on 80s ballroom culture. And throughout it all, because I feel like this was the one or one of ones that I really prepped for, it made me remember that authenticity doesn't ask for permission to exist. It just does. And that's something I've carried with me since childhood, but moments like this and this photo shoot was where I was really reminded of that. Now, speaking of authentic, let's dive into my next photo shoot, which I call Blue Wonder. Now, here's when I had turned 20, and I honestly had ran into many blockages when it came to my execution style with my craft in general, such as, one, not knowing photographers and not being at a certain body weight for my own comfort in shoots, and a lot of waiting for the perfect moment. And it was a bit discouraging because I felt like I needed to be doing something amazing and elevating from what I had put out previously, but I just wasn't where I wanted to be. But that also didn't mean I was completely out either. So I decided on a whim that for my next photo shoot, I'd tap into the mystery of me. So nobody outside of myself knows how my mind works or every aspect of me. And more often than not, that's what fascinates people about me the most, is trying to figure me out. And at the time, all I had was a ring light, an afro wig from Project Ballroom, blue scarves, shades, and rhinestones. And I came up with this. And honestly, it was so fun and like lighthearted because it wasn't this big, drawn out photo shoot. It was just me existing and playing and tapping into another side of myself. And I think that's what made it all so fun and just, I don't know, exuberant is the word that comes to mind. But this photo shoot made me realize there's no better moment than the present and to work with what you got. And if it's just you, then you got to work your set because you are the visual. And in this photo shoot, all I had was me. So I really just did the best I could with what I had. Which brings us to my next and quite frankly, one of my most favorite photo shoots, the Luminescent Emergence. Now, this photo shoot was actually more than just an artsy birthday photo shoot for me. For me, it was a depiction of a physical and spiritual rebirth that I was creating for myself. I was turning 23, and I saw this as my time to not only get a move on with my superstar journey, but to also glow up physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I knew in the back of my mind, I was like, I want something big. I want something that says I'm here. Beyonce. No, I wanted a seashell. I kept seeing myself. I'm like, this is a rebirth. I want something that showcases birthing something new. And then immediately what came to mind was the birth of Aphrodite and also some depictions of the Yoruba goddess Yemaya. So that's what I channeled in this specific photo shoot. And I depicted myself in a life-size shell, and it was crying. I was crying gems and pearls to signify, even though I'm going through hard times, I still emerge victoriously. I still come through beautifully, which is why I'm crying seashells and pearls and whatnot. So the hardship about this was I spent maybe a month or so during the summer of my birthday doing this, and I was without a job. I had actually gotten fired from the salon job I was working a month prior to when I initially set this photo shoot up. And it made it all the more hard for me because I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And all I had was time to work on it, time to really put energy into the visual, into the aesthetic of it all. And it was hard, I'm not gonna lie. I, more often than not, probably cried during this, but I still saw it through. That was the most important thing to me. And it paid off because it showed me that, one, I can get what's in my head into the physical realm. I just got to give myself that time, that focus, and that consistency to do so. And that's not just with art, that's anything. And it also showed me, because before I didn't drop this photo shoot on my exact birthday. If I'm not mistaken, I think I dropped it a couple days after, but that's because we kept having to push the shoot back due to either weather, or I wasn't finished with certain pieces yet, because I was doing all of this, from creating the shell to the bikini pieces, all of that stuff, and waiting on certain things to get there, like my eyelashes. I was doing that all by myself. And the eyelashes didn't get there until, like, I think 2 days before my birthday. So, yeah. But this made me realize, number one, before submitting it to the eyes of others, I have to love not only my art, but myself and what I'm putting out there. Because if I don't, and I don't get the message or the love that I'm looking for, the outside validation, it's almost as if it was for nothing, and it wasn't for nothing. So that's why this taught me to look within first, appreciate what I create first before submitting it to the eyes of others. And also that my determination and resilience was put to the test. I'm not gonna lie, it was put to the test, and I saw it through. And that no matter what, if you're consistent, you will see the fruits of your labor. Now, this next photo shoot isn't necessarily something that I created, nor am I depicted in. This was actually a photo shoot that I did for my cousin, who is an artist by the name of Yall Carter, for a musical project that he put out a while ago. And in my recording for this video, I actually came across these pictures, and I was like, I forgot all about this. But at the time, he was putting out a music project, and he had seen I had told him about my journey in photography, and he trusted me enough to put the project in my hands. And I didn't have a camera. So in any of these photo shoots that y'all see, I didn't have a professional camera. Most of these pictures were taken off of my iPhone, except for Project Ballroom and the Luminescent Emergence, where I had 2 other photographers. But everything else, that was off of an iPhone, and including these photos. I just knew how to edit it and capture the right shots. And looking back on it, I was like, you know what? I really did something with these, because he loved it. I loved it. And honestly, I low-key kind of forgot all about it. I'm not going to get into why, but it's just that reminder of like, wow, I'm really talented. Like, there was no necessary lesson, I guess you could say. Well, yeah, there is. Never sleep on yourself, because you are more talented than you know. And I'm realizing that as I'm recording this. You are more talented than you know, and keep going with whatever, because all you can do is get better. You can't get worse. So, yeah. Look at me learning as I'm teaching, showing y'all. All right, so now that we're done with the archives, I hope that y'all are inspired. I hope that y'all took something from my process. Thank y'all for, one, sitting through the entire video if you did, and watching my process, because from 19 to 23, there was a lot of energy put into those photo shoots, mainly because each one was a birthday photo shoot or was around the time of my birthday. And there was a lot that I learned, and I felt like I needed to share that before getting into what's coming next. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say, but stay tuned, because like I said, we're moving like water, so this is a continuous motion. I will see y'all in the next video though. Until then, stay you, stay true, and I love you. I'll talk to y'all later. I forgot to add, if you're not following me on social media, I'm gonna put the links down below, but my Instagram is at eapollo, that's e.apollo, the last O is a 0, and my Twitter and TikTok handles are both at Apollo Wintour. Yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna go for real. Bye.